Hey man, this is another session of Couples Connect, man. I got my boo with me, man. First of all, man, my name is Kevin Locks, and this is
Tanya.
and we coming at you live and direct, man, with another episode with another couple who's gonna be breaking it down, man, showing you and telling you all about this married life and what it's all about. Guys, without no further ado, let's talk about it. We got our family, man, in the building. Brian and Lisa Fulgence in the building. Hey, welcome, welcome, fam.
Hello.
What's going on? What's going on, people? Y'all good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No complaints.
Okay.
You caught me a little off guard. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
Hey, this is live and direct, man. We
It
live.
is.
You
We
know,
live.
so what's up, man? How y'all doing today, man? Everything good?
All is well.
All
How
is
about
well.
you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Good. B, you good?
Man, no complaints here, man.
There you go.
You-
There you go.
You all right over there?
I'm good. I'm good right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll wait for the first question. Let's see. No, all right.
Hey, but you know what, man? Like I just mentioned before we got on here, man, I'm surprised y'all even, want to even be a part of this podcast, man.
Sure.
But
Sure.
at the same time, I'm honored and I'm just excited just to have this conversation with you guys, man. You guys been in the game in terms of married life for a minute, and I think y'all got some stuff to share, man. With some couples, that's probably trying to figure stuff out. So let's start from the beginning. That's how we like to do, yeah, boo.
Yes. Let's
All
start
right.
from the beginning.
So let's talk about how y'all met, how long y'all been married, y'all got kids, all that good stuff. Give us the scoop so we can kind of know a little
Scoop.
background about Team Fulgence.
You want me to start or you?
Well, I'll start. So we met Grambling State University.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. 1990.
7. Has to be 97.
Ooh, we telling our age.
That's cool.
Is what
Tell it.
We actually met at a party.
Mm.
Met at a party. I saw, she was looking nice. She was with a friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and asked for her number. She gave it to me. We started talking, and she saw what I was about,
Yeah.
and she just couldn't resist. So
Why
Really
do
simple.
the men say that?
because it's
The men say that.
Because it's the truth.
And then we get a different story from the wives, but it's all good.
but that's how we met. I'll let you.
You got it.
Want me to fill in the blank? Okay.
No, we just continue.
Oh, continue on. So we dated 3 years before we were married. Brian graduated from Grambling a semester before I did. And we both found jobs here in Dallas. So it's where we came. After we married, December 30th, 2000.
Mm.
So we've been married for 23 years. So 26 years together. And it definitely has been a journey. We have 2 children,
Yeah.
Brian and Brianna.
Yeah.
Brianna is headed to Louisiana State University.
Tigers.
LSU.
And my son is going to the 9th grade.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, where you guys originally from?
I'm from New Iberia, Louisiana, small town
Yeah.
where everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody for sure.
And I'm from Alexandria, Louisiana, another small town, but a little bit bigger than New Iberia.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys have been married about the same time we have been.
Mm-hmm.
And actually
Yeah.
together the same time. We've been together for 27 years.
Okay.
And of course, it'll be
Yeah.
24 years this year,
Wow.
marriage.
Yeah. We're 24 in December.
Wow. I love it, man. So what brought y'all to Dallas? Because obviously being from Louisiana, what brought y'all to Dallas, man? Was it about Dallas that say, you know what? Let's make that move. Let's make that leap and see what Dallas is about.
Man, it was opportunity,
Yeah.
really. So I was blessed enough to get a job while I was my senior year in Grambling, and got the job offer, and I decided to make the leap. As you know, coming from small towns, people often don't leave; they stay.
Yeah.
But I understand because family's there, friends are there, your comfort level is there. Well, I kind of wanted to get away from that a little bit, but a new challenge, new territory, new areas. So that's what brought me here was
Yeah.
opportunity.
What brought you here, Lisa? Was it Brian?
Oh man. I don't know, man.
Yeah, so Brian got a job here in Dallas, and at the time we were still dating. And I was coming here like every weekend from school. I was student teaching at the time at a school called Broadmoor Middle School. Who knew that I remember that?
In Shreveport.
In Shreveport, Louisiana. And yeah, so that semester, when I graduated, I had already started interviewing. So I had I taught middle school at in Carrollton Farmers Branch School District. I had a job before I graduated.
Oh,
Nice.
dope. Some of this, what's probably been the biggest challenge, both from little small country towns, right? Moving to Dallas, what was that transition like? Was there any major challenges? You know what I'm saying? Culture shocks, anything like that? I know for Tanya and I, we always say it like, you know, we from Liberia, everybody know everybody, you know what I'm saying? And you hugging everybody just, but here it was just a little different, you know, it just wasn't as friendly, wasn't as, warm, welcoming. It was a little different. So that was a little culture shock for us. But how about, did you guys experience anything like that?
No, I didn't. Primarily because I knew just a couple people here.
Yeah.
And so I got a chance to just, hang out with them, and I got to know their friends. So I had a friend group already. So the transition was a little easier for me. And I'm just a people person. So, most times I'm a people person. So I don't mind talking to a stranger.
Right.
So it was, I didn't have any obstacles or issues there.
Yeah.
And then you make friends at work. You create, just people that you click with.
For sure.
At the job. So it was okay for me.
Yeah. How about you, Lee?
We knew people from Grambling that lived here, and I had some line sisters actually that were here as well. So I made connections pretty quickly. But my personality is really more like kind of like that. I was more outgoing, probably more outgoing than he was at that time, and I talked to everybody, and I was just, and really I liked the city feel, because I didn't necessarily like that everybody knew who I was in my little town.
You do.
Get that? I get that. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, man, my wife sent y'all over some questions, and I think she has some questions she want to ask y'all.
So we've been knowing you guys for a long time.
Long time.
Did you and Brian know each other back in Liberia?
In the beat, yeah, we knew each other.
Okay, so y'all knew each other.
We probably knew more of each other.
Yeah.
Of each other, right? So
Had friend group, right? Mayo and different individuals that we were
within our little circles. We kind of crossed paths and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I met you guys. I didn't know you, so I met you guys, and I think we became friends pretty quickly. And we also, it's cool because we're also part of a larger friend group. We talked to one of the couples not long ago, and we talked about how we kind of like came together to find houses, kind of like live around in the same neighborhoods, kind of. And we started having kids around the same time. Right. And I know for us, when it comes to certain things with our marriages, even the way that we're raising our children, we had some conflict in that area. And, I was just wondering, was there like any conflicts in that area, or any area that y'all had to kind of like come to compromise in? And how did you do that? Because there are, families, I think this is big in marriages when it comes to raising children, because everybody have a different opinion or a different way on how they like to raise their kids. And Kevin and I, we have fought about this. So did you guys go through that, experience that? If so, how did you come to resolve it?
With regard to raising children, or just what was our biggest struggle as a marriage?
I'll ask you that question after this one.
Okay, so
to raising children.
Raising kids. I know one time there was a difference between, we talked about, hey, are we going to raise our daughter differently from our son? And if so, why? So we shared some differences, in that she felt as though they should be raised the same. Like, no, you really can't raise a boy the same way you can raise a girl. And, just the little nuances into that,
Yeah.
I think was, one thing that we did have at one time.
I think that, you know, generally speaking, doesn't happen all the time, but you tend to raise your kids the way you were raised. And so that was something that we discovered later. When I say later, I mean once we were already married, getting ready to have kids, that the way we were raised, though we both came from two-parent homes, where, we with our mother and father, just how they did things were a little different. But we both, what I think we did good was we always talked about it. And so whenever there was a difference of opinion, we would just bring it to the table and just have a discussion about, how do we want to address this particular thing? We didn't always agree, but understanding that we both wanted the best thing for our kids, or that we want the best thing for our kids, we had to learn to trust each other. And people, sometimes he would go along with my suggestion and vice versa. Sometimes I just have to go along with his suggestion, even though I didn't necessarily agree with that, but I knew he had the best interest for our kids at heart.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is that you brought it to the table to discuss it, because a lot of times, and we did good with that too. It was just some things that we disagreed on. And the way that we are raising our children was totally different from how we were raised. I didn't, I was raised totally different than what we were raising our children. But coming to the table just to talk about it, bring it to the table and not have your kids, because kids can be manipulating too, right? They can come to you and say something and they go to daddy and think daddy is going to take up for them and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think coming to the table and talking about it is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So 24 years of almost being married. I know everybody asks, what's the secret? We get asked that question too. What is the secret to being married or being together for that long? I have my own thought. We have our own thoughts on that. And you always have people that says, goals, your marriages, goals. Y'all been together for so long. I see this, I see that. I want what y'all got, and this, that, and other. And I'm like, but you don't know what it took for us to get here, or what it's taking for us to stay here. So what is it that's keeping you guys here and that has kept you here for so long?
Right.
Have you had any obstacles that you had to come over? Therapy that you had to go through,
It's a big question. You're right. We do get that question asked. And I always say, the cliche answer will be love. But I think to me, love is not what other people may think it is. Because my definition of love is not nostalgic, it's not romantic at all. It's you know what I'm about to say.
Go for it, baby. Be you. Be you. We already knew.
To me, love is a steadfast commitment to the well-being of others. And that I've held that on throughout the marriage.
Say it again, because I've never heard it put that way. So say that again.
It's a steadfast commitment to the well-being of others. And so this is my other, right? And so I'm committed. I'm unwavering. It's, I'm going to do it, even if it doesn't feel good, smell good. I'm going to be steadfast in her well-being, period. Right. And so I think having that early on, for sure, for me, helped, because I already knew, no, this is it. I'm going to make this work. And I'm committed, despite the feelings, despite the circumstances, despite whatever is going on at that time. We're going to work this out, period.
How did you learn that? Did you learn that from your father, or You know what I mean? Like, did you
Yeah.
see that? Because a lot of us don't have examples like that growing up. So
Yeah, it's a good question. In part, for sure, him, because he was always there. But really, it was my faith. You know, I saw that that's how God, you know, was for us. He was always, he's committed to us. And if we are to be Christ-like, well, guess what? I need to be committed, but what am I going to be committed to? Who am I going to be committed to? And once I decided it was our marriage and us, that became my ultimate example.
so you had that early on,
Yes.
like before you got married or when you got married, or
I would say in the midst of, I wouldn't say I just had it before. I would say, you know, along the journey early on, maybe, you know, within the first 5 years.
so was that a struggle? Did you meet obstacles along the way? Because, you know, we talk about loving somebody, but that's not always easy to do, even for their state of well-being. That's not always easy to do. So did you have some obstacles along the way of doing that?
Absolutely. We had obstacles, but I was committed. I was steadfast in that. And that's what it means. Even though you're going through obstacles, you keep going. You never quit. You never give up.
Have you ever
And I
wanted to
had
give
that.
up?
Within how many years we said? You know,
26 total.
I think that's more of a feeling. I think we all have felt that at one point. But was it in my spirit? Was it in my soul that no, I'm giving up, I'm done? Not necessarily.
Okay.
Because I'm committed. I'm here, right? So, but if I let the feeling part, sure. Yeah, we all, you know, we felt that way before. But the reality is, for me, no, I'm steadfast in this thing. That's my definition of love. If I want to, you know, show love and be loved, that's what I'm going to do. Period. I'll never forget we were in marriage counseling before we got married, and the counselor told us, Reverend not Davis, what's his name?
I forgot his name also.
David. He said, you know, right now you guys are not married. You guys are just dating. You guys are engaged. Know that the enemy is not even looking at y'all right now. He's not. The devil's not looking at you.
We were
right
shacked
now.
up too. So
We did too.
So everything is good. So know that once you guys say I do, once you make that vow, that commitment before God, then you will become a target for him, for the devil. Then that's when problems are going to arise. That's when he's going to throw rocks at your house. You're going to have to be able to know, number one, know that's going to happen. And so once he told me that, I took that in. I'm like, listen, we know these things are going to happen. So when we did face, you know, an argument, a disagreement or whatever, I always kept that in the back of my mind. Listen, this is a test. This is we're a target. So how am I going to treat it? I have to know she's not the enemy, right? But anyway.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Because a lot of times we feel like when we have disagreements or arguments, or not getting along, we think it's the enemy, or we think it's us. I'm sorry, we think it's us, but it's the enemy, and we have to recognize that. So, what is your take on it, Lisa?
I think for me, so two things. The vow that I constantly think about is my vow to God. And I'm so committed. I am committed to him first. And because I know how much he loves me and all that he's done for me. And so I would be remiss not to be obedient to what it is that he's asked me to do, and understanding that his promises for me. So I try to make sure that I, especially with regard to my marriage, that I stay in alignment with what God has asked me and commanded me to do. So I often reference the word of God whenever things may come up between us. And I remember, God, I'm unto you. Today, I don't like him right now, but I'm going to still make his plate. I'm going to hug and kiss him. I'm going to tell him good morning. I'm going to love on him at night. So it's all about commitment. similar to what my husband says, but I think of it in a different way. The second thing that I hold on to is, though there may be moments where we're not getting along or he's done something that I didn't particularly like, I know the man that he is. We've been together a long time. I've been with him longer than any other family member in his life. Right? So I know the man, Brian. So even though something he did I didn't like, I know the man. So oftentimes couples that we talk to, or there's couples that we've mentored, the question that I always ask is, what is it that you love about your mate? Not what they do. Oh, she's a good mom. She's a good this. No, the person. Who is he? Who is she? What defines the person? What did God create this person to be? And do you love that? Not what they do, because those things can go away. When we say I do, it's through sickness and health. That means that mate may not be able to do those things for you ever again at some point. Right? So I love the man that Brian is. And that's what I hold on to, is that I know the core of the man that he is. And I love him. Bottom line, I love him.
So when you say the core, and that was good, Lisa. When you say the core, you love the core of who he is. Is that his character? Is that his soul?
It is who God created him to be. So early on in our marriage, not even married, just as we were dating, I was with him, I would visit New Iberia with him, and I watched how he loved his family, how he treats, his mom, the family dynamic, who he is. Brian would give his left kidney for anybody in his family, anybody. He's a giving man. It's the core. He already told you he was committed. That is all true. This part, we would, at Grambling, we would kick it at, we might go out, hang out, and he would have like these 8 o'clock. I never had an 8 o'clock class. He would have these 8 o'clock classes, and he be up, girl. I'm like, okay, so that joker he gonna keep a job.
He's going to work. So that is such a good point, because when you find that, and this is good for anyone who is even thinking about getting married or engaged or whatever, when you find that that person is committed to one thing, then you will find that they are committed more than likely to other things and things that are important.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really good. Yeah.
Good question. So, because it seems like, y'all both reference God in the situation, right? How important is God in your marriage? And when did it become very important? Did it start off as, we gonna be God ways, God, from the beginning, or at some point did your heart just kind of soften towards God to say, like, we need to really be living under the principles and the word of God to really make this work? Was it from the beginning, or at what point what shifted you that way?
It was at the very beginning. I mean, even at Grambling, you're talking about dates.
Went to church. Oh, I know what yours.
Listen, I would go to the park. She would meet me at the park, and I'm reading the Bible, literally, and we're dating. That wasn't fashionable, really.
Yeah.
My friend group wasn't doing it, but it was instilled in me at young. We grew up in the church, and I knew who God was, and I understood what he had did for me at that point. I'm like, I'm not going to stop now. So to answer your question, it was very, very embedded in me. And then if you're going to be with me, you're going to see me do these things. And then if you're not going to do that, then I already know you're probably not going to be the one for me. You know, so it started there with me.
Right.
And then she noticed that. And then she was, you know, grew up, you know, in a similar way. So,
Yeah, so I grew up in the church as well, different, both under Jesus Christ, but a different religion per se. But I think what's most important is that we both had a relationship with God before we had a relationship with each other.
sure.
And so maintaining that individual relationship with God will always continue to bring us together, because if we're both doing his will, then we will stay in alignment. I think that was the important thing.
That was one thing we learned early on in the our counseling session, our premarital counseling session. Said you know, God is at the top, and we both chasing God, not each other all the time. Listen, we will eventually meet up at the top. So, yeah, that was part of it.
Was there anything major that ever happened in your marriage to where you both really had to depend on God like never before? And without maybe even not going into details, but what did that look like for you guys to come together and say, God, we need you now, right? Because I know we've been through that well, not many, but a few times.
A few times.
Right? But what was anything that, again, maybe not the details, it's totally up to you, but I need you, God. I need you.
Daily. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
Let's help somebody.
everybody talks about love and respect,
Yeah.
right? So early on, to answer your question specifically, it was respect.
Yeah.
And so my uncommunicated expectations of respect led to some problems because I wanted it, but I never communicated what it should be, what it should look like to me. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that was because I didn't feel like I wasn't getting it.
Could you give
Right.
us like an example maybe of what that was, what you were asking?
It could be simple. You know, we're in an argument. I don't raise your voice. Don't overtalk me. Right. Let's listen, you know, for understanding and not listening to that trigger word that you heard, but you missed everything else that I stated. You know, let's not do that. So it was things like that that I felt as though was disrespectful, but I never communicated that to her. So how can I hold her to a standard for something that I never told her I didn't want her to do? And so there are other examples, but that's at the core, that's what it was. And so I had to go back. I had to realize that that's what it was. And then we sat down and I communicated to her, hey, here are the things that I view as respect, right? It could be like she may say, well, I made your plate. Well, to me, I don't want that. You know, it's fine, it's cool, but that doesn't define respect for me. And so I had to be very intentional in communicating that to her. But all along the way, there were issues.
Yeah.
There were obstacles. There were barriers. There were walls put up. All of those things happened. So,
man, you just said a ton of.
He
You said
did.
a lot just now. I just want you to know that, man. You said a lot. First of all, I've always said I think that one of the biggest issues amongst marriages today is that uncommunicated expectation. Right? You don't communicate enough in a way to where if you want something, ask for it. Communicate about it. Let it be known. Right? You talked about just now, like maybe that stonewalling sounds like maybe a little bit, right? The communication piece, and man, there's just so much to unpack in that. But communication, let's talk about that. How did you guys? How did you get to that next level of communicating those expectations, right? And was that hard for you to say, "Hey, I need this," and were you, able to receive it when he did communicate it to you? How was that dynamic?
That's something I had to learn.
Yeah.
I had to learn because, I have to speak to her in a language that she can understand. Meaning I just can't come hard to her and just direct and with no love, with no compassion, none of that. I couldn't do that. I had to learn it though. And so once I learned that, because she told me, that's how I found out. She told me. And once I learned how to do that, then the communication, then she can really hear me. She can hear what I'm saying, not how I'm saying it. And so that really helped for sure.
Can you speak on that, Lisa?
He did a pretty good job.
He did.
Yeah. Yes, I was able to receive it, but to his point, I wasn't always able to receive it right away. So he initially said love and respect, respect and love. So for him, he was missing the respect that would best be received by him. And what I was missing was the love. Like I need, it was a certain type of something that I needed. And a lot of it came from just how you talk to me. Just be gentle, because, we wanted, I think that oftentimes we want a woman to live in her femininity, but then we don't treat her that way. And so you have to treat somebody the way that you want them to be. So yeah, I think that we both had a lot to learn, and I will say that there was a minister that we had spoken with a few times, and he taught us how to hear what each other were saying. This is before the tone and everything came into play, but he gave us a candle that we had in our home,
Shaped in a heart.
in the shape of a heart. And the person holding the candle, in essence, that's the person that has the mic. And then when you're done, I would give him the candle, and then he's not to respond. He's only able to repeat what he thought I said. This was a way for us to make sure that the other person understood what the initial person was trying to say. So not to respond, but just to make sure that you understood what I said. And then if you didn't get it right, I get the candle back, and I say, no, it's not what I said. Let me repeat it. And
This is good.
so then you tell them again, and then you pass them the candle to see if they can repeat back. And we did that with each other years. We did that for years. We don't have to use the candle as much now, but we do have what my husband will say, we have rules. We do. We have established there's certain things that we set boundaries. That maybe that's a good word. Yeah. Boundaries, and you can't cross them.
Yeah, and it's really when we're having a I'm gonna say disagreement, contentious topic, right? You want to be able to talk those things out without allowing feelings, anger, emotion, those things to take the forefront outside of the main issue. Those things are not the main issue. It's whatever it is that you're talking about, right? So that exercise was shaped in the heart. So whoever's talking, they actually, hey, I'm giving you my heart. So you have to listen. You want to hear what I'm saying because I'm giving you my heart. And so if you love me, if you're going to be committed to me, this is part of what you have to do. And so I'm going to listen as opposed to listening to,
thinking of a response.
Right. I'm listening because I'm getting my response. Oh, she said X, Y, Z. Oh, I'm going to get that. No, I can't do that. I have to regurgitate back to her what she stated in a way to let her know that I understood what she said.
Oh, I'm just bubbling up inside. Like, this is just.
And I think it hit home so much because we've struggled with the very same thing. Yeah. In terms of our communication and not hearing each other, right? And I think we went through a whole different phase of pointing fingers, wanting to be right, but never really allowing us to hear what the other person said. Mm-hmm. We went through. Yeah. And that exercise, that could have been amazing to use for anyone who's having those type of communication barriers, breaking down. Man, girl, we need a candle.
We do. we do.
But we're better. We're a lot better but that's a season of our marriage where it was a major struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It was a major struggle, right? And you want love, you want the respect,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
And it's interesting that I think for us, we talked about it, right? I want respect. I think all men, I think that's the main thing, just respect. And women, she wanted me to sympathize with her, and that's where we just had a communication breakdown. And it was just from two different way we were brought up, and just it was just different. It was a barrier for us.
Yeah.
It's a barrier for us, big time.
Yeah, because I know for me, it's important for me because of, the trauma and abuse that I have been through. So I'm more sensitive. So I need sensitivity. I'm fragile in that area, and I'm still that way, right? Even as a grown adult woman, I'm still sensitive, and I need love. I need compassion and kindness and gentleness.
Yes.
And not all women need that.
I do.
Yeah. Not all women need that. But I do. And you do. And there are other women who need that.
And I think I mentioned this to Brian recently, maybe one day this week, actually. It's difficult for women, in particular, who are in business. You go out into the world outside of my home, right? Where I feel safe, I feel secure, and I can bring my walls down, right? But in the world, I don't care about that. So that same love and softness that I need at home, I have to put my walls up when I go outside. And so learning how to take the walls up and down was a struggle for me, because on my job that I spend a lot of time at, I'm a leader in that realm. And so the obstacles that I faced on a regular basis, you have to have some protection, right? But when I get home, I don't need that same protection. And so learning how to take it on and off was an important thing to do. And I'm still working on it. I'm still learning. We all are. I think we're all still a work in progress.
It seemed like you guys, when you recognized the problem, you kind of like came together and pulled together to get help with that problem, whether it was with a therapist or the minister, or just sitting down talking to each other about, those things. So you gave us the analogy of the candle. Is there anything else that you guys have done to help you along the way with your marriage and how you communicate with each other? Because these are some great tools that you're giving us and the audience who are going to be listening to this.
Additional tools. I think from a man's perspective, you have to be willing to put your ego away and your need to be right away also. And if you do that, you could be open to an idea outside of your own. You know what I mean? You have to be able to do that. But first, you have to be willing to do it. And so the tool that got me there is really going back to my definition of love. I'm committed. And if I'm committed, I read that, right? What I just stated, I read that. So I'm like, no, I'm okay. I need to do it. I need to be open to what she's saying, even though I may not see it her way, but I need to be open-minded to say, okay, let me consider it. Let me dive more into it, not criticize it because I don't understand it. Let me really try to understand what you're stating or your point of view. And so if you do that, I don't think it's a tool, but I think you just have to be open and have that willingness to, get outside of yourself, because if it's my house, if I'm the leader, if I'm the husband of the house, I'm responsible for everything. So if I'm responsible for everything, then I need everything to go my way. I need everything to be done how I want it to be done, because if it don't work, it's on me. If it worked, it's on me too. No, you still you have to put that mentality away and be open to what your mate is stating because she's important. She has great ideas as well. So it's a partnership in that aspect.
It's like that respect goes both ways.
Sure, sure. It's just
Yeah.
defined a little bit differently, but yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have, I know for women, we know how to communicate with other women. We talk, because we don't like to hold anything in because we like to have different perspectives on what we're thinking and having conversations about with our spouse. And we don't go to, we try not to go to the wrong person for that. We kind of know who to go to. Do you have that? Do you have a group of men who you talk to and maybe
Absolutely. And it's not a large group. It's one or two, I think it's important for a man to have that person you can be vulnerable with because men in general, we're not gonna be vulnerable, let alone being vulnerable in front of my boy. I'm not gonna do that. So I think it's important. So to answer your question, yes, I do. My brother is one of them and another close friend of mine. And that has helped me tremendously for sure because certain things I'm going through, I may not come to my wife. I may go to my boy. I may go to him because she the problem at the time. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
And it just wouldn't work.
Yep.
But I could be open and vulnerable with that person. So that is key because most times, most men, we don't. We just hold it in and it comes out in different forms.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. What would you think was the biggest transition, if you will, that y'all made from the beginning of your marriage and then up until now? What was the main thing that you see like, man, back in the day we were like this, but thank God now, things are like this now, right? Through those years of going through it and now getting better at it. Right now we're like we're good. We're in a good space with that particular thing. Right? Is there anything in particular that's like that was crazy in the beginning that now it's like, man, we worked that out?
You go first.
I can say that I'm thankful for my own maturity and self-discovery. I think that early in our marriage, I just was different. I mean, I don't have any other words to say about it, just different. And but life's experiences, my relationship with God, things that I've been through that, many may not know about, those things help me to mature. And God has a way of mending and molding. He's the potter, right? And we are the clay into what he has designed and created us to be. And so I think as we continue to, and I think he's, changed too, we continue to get better over time. But I think for me, that's the big thing that I think could have been a destroyer of our relationship if I had not learned what his definition of respect was.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. That's real good.
What about you, B? What was the biggest change? It doesn't have to be personally, but your own personal, but together or you or
kind of what she stated. I had to learn what love looked like to her and how to deliver that love, really. Because, I was just doing what I thought was right. And it was all wrong. So we communicated. She told me directly what it needs to be, what it looks like, with examples, right? And I did that, and I intentionally did it. And then it became natural, right? And so she often would say, hey, my love tank is empty. I'm like, I'm not doing something. Okay, let me go back.
So you didn't get offended by it? Or did you get offended by it?
No, because I understood. I mean, maybe early on, I may have, I'm like, listen, I done did these 50 things over here and you still don't eat, right? Yeah. But once the communication was better, well, really not communication, because she was saying I just had to be able to receive it. Once I understood it, and was able to receive it, then I was able to give it.
And I only asked if you were offended by it because there are so many people who are going to watch and say, well, my spouse, he or she gets offended by it when I say that I need space or I need, this, that, and other. But it took practice, right? It just didn't happen overnight.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It
didn't.
took practice.
Nope.
Yeah.
What I didn't think about initially, but that was another really big thing for us both, was forgiveness. So forgiveness, we both read a book, and the title of the book is called Total Forgiveness. So where you think you may have forgiven somebody for something, but if at any time you want that person to pay for what they had done to you, then you have not totally forgiven them. Total forgiveness means you have completely let it go. And the forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. Because things that are within you that you don't forgive for, especially in women, because as a woman, we are incubators. We grow things physically and spiritually. You give me something and I nurture it into something bigger. So if I don't forgive, it gets bigger, and my resentment and anger can be as big as this room. And it was only because, he did something this small and now it's this big when I didn't forgive. Forgiveness is a big thing. So what we try to do now is forgive often and quickly. The quickly part, we still working on. You got to forgive quickly and quickly and often, especially if you notice we already knew, we just said we committed, we love each other, we're not going anywhere. So why hold on to this thing? Let it go and move on.
Forgiveness is huge.
Forgiveness
is so big, man. It's amazing to hear you guys talk about a lot of the key things that are as very integral pieces and parts of a marriage that a lot of people sometimes can't overcome. Just those things. Forget about the infidelity or the finances or some of the bigger things. I think all those things are equally as important in the marriage, the communication piece, the forgiveness, right? And the respect, all those things, man, is all a huge part of making a successful marriage. And it's not always easy in the beginning. It's something we all have to kind of grow through, right? We got to grow through those things. And lots of people unfortunately, may not even get a chance to grow in those areas. And they may call it quits before they continue the journey, before they even decide to say, let's fight for it. We say this a lot, this word, intentional. Mm-hmm. There's that intentionality that you put ahead in your mindset, like, I'm gonna make sure I do this. I'm gonna make sure I do that. And maybe there's just not enough intention in people that, trying to really fight for the marriage. I'm not intentionally fighting. I'm not intentionally trying to learn her. I'm not intentionally trying to respect him. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? It's an intentionality, right? So anyway, you're looking at me like that, girl. Go looking at me like that. But all those things.
Let me stop looking at him like that.
But all those things are super, super important, man. That was gems, man. Y'all dropped some gems today.
Really did.
All good stuff. What would y'all tell anyone, man? And I want to just kind of go back to that forgiveness piece real quick. Still a work in progress, right? With us as well. How are you overcoming that forgiveness piece? Because for some people, that could be a very hard thing to do. Again, it is for the person who's trying to, dealing with the forgiveness piece. It's definitely for you, because that's when you can heal, right? But what would you suggest people do when forgiveness is a major thing in their marriage that they have to overcome? What would be the steps? What would that look like?
I mean, if it's, since, we're talking about, couples and with your wife, let's say, I have something that I haven't fully forgiven my wife for. I think you have to get it out. Oftentimes we feel like we can't communicate the thing that I have, that you hurt me. You hurt me because of you did X, Y, Z, and we just hold it. We may have forgiven, but we held it because I think oftentimes we don't get it out. We don't tell them about it, right? And when we did tell them about it, we were fussing. No. I just want to get it out, but it has to be healthy, right? So I think in part being able to get out that thing that I'm suffering with inside, I want to communicate that to you in a loving way. Hey, babe, when you did X, Y, Z, it really made me feel like X, and it did this to me, and just being vulnerable and just telling you how much it hurt me and why. It's amazing when you can actually get it out, how much that helps with the forgiveness.
And you can't be defensive. So in those moments, Brian and I may have a set time. Like, he may say, you know what, later on, Lisa, we need to talk. Or I may say, you know what, in the morning, can we have a cup of coffee and sit out on the patio? Because I really want to talk to you about something. So we don't come to the table angry, and we don't come to the table with a defense, because at this moment is for the person with the issue. It's not about, if he's coming to me with something, it's not about me. It is about him. And my job is to listen and understand and apologize if I need to apologize. If I have a different issue, or if he says something that triggers something else in me, now is not the time to talk about that. That's a different issue. It's for a different time. We will communicate that at another time. That's my coffee break 2 days from now.
That's a rule we have.
That's one of those
tools.
boundaries. That's a rule. One of the rules is, if we come to the table, we're dealing with this issue. Can't bring any other issues up.
I love it. Wow, man.
You guys are.
Hey, that's good stuff, man. A lot of strong foundational principles that you guys live by, and I think we've learned some stuff, right? I think that's some tools and stuff that can help us. That can increase this major, but I think everything you guys brought to the table today was pretty powerful, man. I think it can help someone. I truly believe. What would be, as we close, what would be maybe one or two things that you feel that could truly help a marriage? Something that was major, that was super big and impactful in your marriage, that helped you. What can someone else do to kind of help them in their situation, whatever that may be? What would you advise you?
You gave a lot of good stuff.
You gave a lot of stuff.
So
I'm trying to pull out one more.
What else
I'm trying to pull out one more. I'm trying to pull something, one more nugget out that can help somebody.
From a man's perspective, man, I think it's really important to have somebody, that another man you could be vulnerable with, that you can trust. I think that's key. And the reason why I say that is because I have a really good friend of mine. He's going through a divorce before, but after his divorce, he said, man, I really didn't think I could come to you. Now I know I could, but I never knew that I could come to you. I think if I would have, no telling where our marriage would have been. I said, well, why didn't you think you could come to me? He said, because I always looked at you guys' marriage as being perfect. You guys didn't have any issues. I said, you are far from that is not the truth.
Right.
And he said, man, when you told me that, that's when it clicked in my mind. I'm like, I can talk to this guy. I can be vulnerable. And so for men, I think that would be not the number one key. The number one key, you got to have a relationship with God. You have to be subordinate to him first. You have to have that, period.
Yep.
And then, number two would be, have to have that person that you could be honest, real. You can take off the mask and be who you really are with that person, and be able to allow them to tell you, I mean, you messing up. You're looking at this thing wrong, right? Because oftentimes your friends, they're just going to be a yes person, or just going to be your buddy, your partner, which is fine. But when I'm wrong, tell me. You have to have that person, for me particularly for men, you have to have that person in your life. That is key, I think.
Love
That's
it.
good.
It's good stuff. How about you, Lily?
Um, Similar to Brian, I think what I would say is be open that you might be the person that needs to make the change.
Oh.
If oftentimes we can easily see the deficiency in our spouse because we're looking at it. It's sometimes hard for the individual to see themselves, but your spouse can see you oftentimes better than you see yourself. So when topics come up, entertain the thought that you might need to make the change that's being suggested. And this change is not coming from just anybody. It's coming from the most important person to you other than Jesus Christ.
Oh, that was good. That was
Drop the mic, Team Fulgence. Drop the mic, man. That was a drop the mic moments.
Listen, you guys came here and you gave it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the words of wisdom,
Thank you.
the vulnerability, all of that. This was absolutely wonderful. And I see why you guys are mentors to other couples. I have one question though before we get out, because this was some all serious stuff. What do you guys do for fun? And then we can get out of here. You first.
Oh, together?
Together and separately.
Well, I like to fish.
Oh, you still fish, Brian?
I do,
I
man.
mean, that time we went fishing with you.
I do, man.
No, man, I enjoy fishing. I enjoy listening to music, and just being with family. Honestly, being with family, fishing, listening to music. If I'm doing any one of those, I'm happy.
What do you love about her?
Oh man, we just started. We're about to end.
Just give me one. I know you have many things that you love about her.
I like that she loves hard. She loves big. She's a giver. I love the fact that she love others, and she loves serving others, which is huge. I always say, man, that's where joy comes from. Really, if you learn how to love and serve others, and that's what I love about her. That is huge, because everybody doesn't do that, but she does, and she's been that way. You talking about consistent? She's been that way since I met her.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's good. Lisa.
What do I love about Brian?
So yeah, what you love about him, and what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, I too, I think one of the things that Brian and I connected on early on, we love music. So one of the things that we particularly love to do together is to go out and watch live bands or jazz bands playing, or have a dinner or something like that. That is something we love to do. But we just like being with each other, I think. Hanging out, doing things, being active. What do I love about Brian?
And what do you love to do on your own?
On my own. I started doing crafts, and so I well, let me put it this way. I have a passion for essential oils.
Yeah.
I know. She knows I have a passion for essential oils, and I love to learn about all the different ways from a holistic perspective that we can use essential oils to heal our bodies, to help us from all mentally, physically, emotionally. Essential oils is the creme de la creme.
Yep.
And I just love doing all kinds of things with them. Yeah. And my husband, Jesus called Peter the rock. And if I had no other word to say about Brian, is he is a rock. And if if nobody else was stable enough to do anything, my husband will find the strength to be the person who has it together to get us through. And so that is what every day I think about that, because there's been a lot of times that I am like, oh my God, I can't do no more. I can't take no more. But he's there, moving on, washing the dishes, doing whatever it takes to get the job done. Brian is there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I can talk to y'all for hours, actually.
Yeah,
But I know we have to.
yeah, man. This was good stuff, man. Brian, Lisa, man, thank y'all so much. This was way much more than I expected.
Mhm.
Y'all really gave some great information. And I can see how you guys have maybe grown in your marriage and gotten to a place where you're in the flow, you're in the rhythm, right? Still learning, still growing, but the fact that you guys are still loving each other and continue to build an amazing foundation for your kids and keep being that rock, B. Keep being that rock, man. Keep being that rock. That's awesome. Man. That's awesome. Man, hey, this was good, man, boo.
This was good.
Hey, man, we want to thank you guys, man, for tuning in for another session, man, of Couples Connect with Kev and Tanya Locks, man. This has been amazing interview, man. So we hope that you guys, man, take what they said. Look at all the little principles, the little foundations, the little exercises, things that they're doing to continue to grow their marriage, and in creating an environment in a place where they can just continue to evolve as a couple. So, man, we want to thank you guys for tuning in for another session of Couples Connect with your boy Kev Locks and
Tanya.
And man, y'all be safe, y'all be blessed, man, and we out. Peace.